All right.
God, I'm
Says
so
we're
pissed about the car.
live. Whoops.
We're live. Ah,
Fucked up. Oh well. All right. Hey, Chris. Hey, Charlie. I like this
Hey.
tune. I just kind of want to sit here and listen to the music. Do this
just
for
hang
an
out all
hour.
day and do this. It is a Sunday.
You know, it feels like a Sunday. I'm usually like, I don't know. I'm unusually relaxed today.
Usually I am, but I wrecked my goddamn brand new car, so I don't feel the same way.
Well, that's a bad deal.
The cops and the chick kept saying, well, accidents happen. And I'm just like, whatever. Anyway, folks at home, I got in an accident. Car's getting fixed up, but just do some old 8-balling because we've been off for like 2 weeks, so it's good to be back on it.
It is. So people, do not, especially if you have a spinal cord injury and don't have a lot of feeling in your feet, don't pour bleach on your foot and let it sit there until it eats through your skin.
Also
It's not advisable. So it happened 2 Sundays ago. Then it got infected. Too much information. And last Sunday I was, just between the wound healing and the infection, it was killing me. So I just sat with my foot up all day and felt super tired and slept half the day and felt sorry for myself. And now we're back.
baby.
We're back, baby.
Feels good. Feels good to be back in the hot seat.
So the biggest bee in either bonnet. Oh, wait. It is April 11th. And this is show number 80. And
Ooh, 80, damn.
It's appropriately titled Crash.
Crash.
Sorry.
I'm just gonna fucking cry. It's a bad crash. You saw the picture, right?
Yeah, your baby's fucked up.
Yeah. I love that car. And I've only had it 4 months. Goddamn.
Did the damage go into the door or did it stop before the door?
Stopped before the door. So it's like the front, it's like the hood which is made of carbon fiber apparently. That's why there was like pieces of it everywhere. Yeah. The hood, the front bumper, pretty much that whole thing is going to need to be replaced, and then the passenger side rocker panel is like fucking falling off.
Was the wheel out of alignment?
No, the wheel is fine. Thank God, and the doors were fine. You look at the left side of the car, you can't even tell that it's fucked up, and then if you go over like, where's the headlight? It's just gone.
That's the way the vet was.
Obliterated.
And they totaled it.
What the fuck, man? I'll be so pissed. I hope I took it to a dealer that I know the guy, like the owner. So like, I'll be like, dude, can you help me out here? Anything, like waive the deductible, something. But
They certainly won't do that
whatever.
because you got a ticket.
It's only $500.
They won't waive it
I don't
though.
know.
They won't
Really?
waive it. Yeah, because you're at fault. You have a ticket. It's unavoidable.
Failure to stop. Yeah.
It's quite documented.
Fuck. Yeah, it was so funny that there was cops right there, and I'm like, that's the reason I crashed. I'm like looking, like, what are you guys doing? Did you just shoot a guy? And then like, yeah, and then they ran over. This big fat chick runs over. Whatever, cop, thank you for your service. But she big fat lady runs over. Are you okay? Did the airbags go off? Are you injured? And then first thing she said was like, all right, well, she's fine too. The other lady in the car. So I was like, thank God. And she was nice, but whatever. Anyway, it is April 11th.
And I'm Chris.
And I'm Charlie.
And we're back at it. We are.
8-balling, motherfucker.
8-balling.
We're 8-balling. Look at the glare's getting on it. Come on. There we go. Boom.
Bam. Yeah, I hear you,
I'm
man.
just so mad.
I hear you.
It'll break my heart if they're like, this is total. I'll be like,
Well, you'll get another
I
one.
don't know.
Well,
Really?
I guess that's up. If they total it, it's up to you.
What do they do? Cut a check to the fucking to GM Financial?
Oh,
Sorry, this
you
is a
didn't
very
buy it?
interesting
It's a lease?
conversation. No, it's a lease. Yeah.
I don't know. Probably. Yeah, they'll
Anyway,
settle
doesn't-
it. They'll settle it with the lease company if they want to total it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how it
And
works
right now,
on a lease.
Progressive is fucking kicking themselves in the ass because I've been a client of theirs for 4 months and I already got in a fucking $7,000 accident or whatever. So we'll
Whoops.
see. Yeah, dumbasses.
Yeah,
I
no,
mean, no, Progressive's great. Yeah.
The way it worked with me when, because it was my car, they said I owed, I think 18 grand on the
On the loan?
loan, and Blue Book was 22, and they offered me like 24. And
You're
it
like,
did have the
"Fuck,
nice
I'll take it."
stereo in it, and I took it and I didn't
Yeah.
want to.
Yeah. That's a tragedy. So sad.
That was a great car. With
That
a
was
great
Black
stereo.
Power. The car Black Power gone.
That was Black
Beautiful
Power.
car.
Black Corvette, for those of you who wonder what the hell we're talking about. Black Power.
And it was endorsing BLM, so that's
Sure. Yeah. Sure, why not?
Anyway.
Anyway,
Yeah.
all right.
Sure, why not? Enough about me moping in our cars, but
It's okay.
I wanted to talk about the Georgia voter. Speaking of Black Lives Mattering, why don't we talk about the Georgia voter laws?
Well, sure. So you said talking about Black Lives. Do you think it has anything to do with color?
First of all, no. I'll just get that out of the way really quick. It has nothing to do with color. Yeah, and not only do I think that it has nothing to do with color, I can say objectively that as a fact it has nothing to do with color. Just because, they're being compared to Jim Crow laws and shit like that. And it's like, if you were forcing black people to come and vote and they could only vote for 10 minutes throughout the day, and they had to bring 3 forms of voter or 3 forms of ID, and they had to go to this exact location in all of Georgia, no matter what. Sure, then Jim Crow. But you have to show your driver's license. That's not Jim Crow. What the fuck? And the excuse is, sometimes black people can't get IDs, can't get state licenses, and like that to me is where the real racism lies. So you're saying that a certain group of people are too stupid or too whatever you want to say they can't get down on their own. Everyone else can fucking do it. It's not very hard. You can pretty much apply online these days. So, to me, this whole excuse about, it's racist and these laws are negatively affecting black people, I don't buy that. And
Well, right
Fuck
now
you.
in Michigan, you can't get a picture ID without going to the Secretary of State, which is Michigan's version of the DMV.
yeah.
And when you sent that article to me and said you wanted to talk about it, I went and looked at the Michigan. So they're saying in Georgia you have to have one piece of official picture ID? Is that the law?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I don't know if it's changed, but when I went and registered to vote eons ago, I got a voter ID card in the mail, and it was just like a blue sheet with a perforated card that you tore out and just said, Christopher James and address, and it might have said
Yeah, it's like this
5'10"
big.
Yeah,
Yeah,
might have said
just like this
5'10".
paper. Yeah, they still do that.
blue eyes, brown hair. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So to get a voter registration in Michigan, you have to you can do it online. If you do it online, you have to have a Michigan driver's license or a state ID, which is going to have a number, right? So they're going to know it's going to, one person, one voter registration. And you can do it online if you have one of those. You can do everything online, right? You can get your license plates and all that. Or you can do it in person at a city clerk, at a secretary of state, or at a voter registration, I don't know, outpost or whatever.
Sometimes they
they're called.
do like an event. Yeah, they'll be like, "Oh, we got the middle school this weekend. If
Right.
you want to come and register to vote? Come and do it here." Yeah, they'll do
Right,
shit
and
like
then the third way was you could do it by mail, and all you had to do was fill out a paper form, and it required no ID. It just was your address and the last 4 digits of your social security number. So they can definitively tie a person with an address, right? They can look at a tax return or whatever and say, "Yep, this person's alive. Those 4 numbers add up. Yep, that person lives at that house. We'll give them a voter card."
for this precinct or
But
this
two
voter.
of
voting
the
district.
3 ways, and I never knew there was a way you didn't have to, because my argument was always, well, you had to go to the Secretary of State to get your voter ID. What's the problem? I mean, there's an argument to be made that there's an argument to be made that if you're poor, it's more difficult. And there is a correlation between being black and being poor. It's a higher incidence of poverty with black Americans. That having been said, I mean, I don't know. If you can mail it in, if you brought your, one of the ways to get your ID is bringing like a utility bill, a couple things with your address and your name that substantiate that you actually live there. That you get like real mail,
Yeah.
you get a bill.
Yeah.
If you took your voter ID card and like one piece of mail with your name, and if it did say have a description, I don't know why you absolutely would have to have picture ID. Because part of the process is making sure that you go down the list and Frank Jones, okay, 6 feet tall, male, blue eyes, brown hair, check. Right, so there's 2 issues. One is not voting twice, and the other is you are who you are.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of an argument that it could discriminate against poor people because I can't get out of the house, can't get to the Secretary of State. That having been said, there's voting every 2 years, which means you have over 700 days to prepare. For whatever it takes to go vote. And if you can't figure it out in 700 days, and I think in Michigan, and I would imagine in Georgia, you could probably get your picture ID for free. So if you're alive and for 700 plus days, you're getting food and presumably some amount of medical attention and clothing and whatever else it requires to live, I really got to think you could find a way to get a ride, provided it's free, to get a free state ID card and be in compliance.
Yeah. And then you can vote and say, "Hey, I actually did this thing, and I have pride for that." I don't know.
Right. Now, if it's like 3 days before and you're like, "Shit, I don't have a state ID. I don't have a car. I don't have a way to get there. I can't vote. This is discrimination." Well, there's some Ricky either agrees or disagrees. I can't quite interpret the bark.
You're racist. Ruff. Chris is racist. Yeah. That's a great way to put it. 700 days plus 700, north of 700 days to figure it out. By the way, I got a ticket today for failure to stop, and I hit someone. So I fucked up. It was my bad. But they only gave me 14 days to respond to that. Is that fucked up? They should give me at least 700 days to figure it out. Yeah.
And for presidential elections, right, you get almost 1,500 days.
4 fucking years, yeah. if it matters that much to you. Yeah, I don't understand it.
1,500 days. You like that
How many
spin.
weeks is that? 200? Over 200
You get 100
Yeah,
weeks.
that's
You get
200.
104 weeks, 103 weeks to prepare.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, now if a state
Yeah, so
ID is
fuck up.
$1,000 and you got to show up in a Ferrari and carry a, Louis Vuitton handbag or wallet or what have you, then yeah, I'd say that's definitely discriminatory against, poor people.
Poor people. But I would say for a race thing, you're more likely to be a black person if you fit all those criteria.
Yeah, I'm not sure
You're
how.
driving a Ferrari, carrying a Louis Vuitton handbag,
Right.
wearing a fur coat, yada yada.
I'm not
No.
sure how they shoehorn this into being racial.
Well, the thing that caught my attention, which is the article that I sent you, was that certain corporations in Atlanta, Coca-Cola, the MLB, the Delta Airlines, were saying this is an atrocity. This is whatever. And the obviously the Republicans were all starting to point out that every single one of those things, except for Coca-Cola, pretty much requires you, unless you're going to a shareholder meeting, pretty much requires you to have photo ID. If you're going to get on a plane, pick up your tickets for the baseball game at will call, or go, like I say, shareholder have photo ID. Now, is that racist?
Well, the argument you're going to get there is poor people don't fly or pick up tickets at will call.
I don't care.
But you could say, well, are you telling me black people don't fly and black people don't pick up tickets? But it's poor. It's really poor. I mean, like I said, they're shoehorning racism into it, and there's a correlation there. But it's not right. It's not a black thing. It's a resources thing. If you're going to argue that.
I would say that time being the biggest thing before money.
And again, right. So 700 plus days. During those 700 days, how do you get food? How do you pay your bills? How do you tend to your home? How do you,
Yeah. I'm curious, what if you went to the Secretary of State and you're like, I don't have a residence, I'm like a homeless person? They'd be like, well, that's illegal? Or they'd be like, we can't issue you an ID? Or what would they say?
I think they'd say, yeah, we can't issue an ID. How do you need to have an address. There's a bunch of lines that are where you live.
I'd be like, I don't have that. They'd be like, what do you want from me? I want to figure that out now. I want to call them and be like, what if you're homeless and you need an ID?
I wonder if you could use like a church or a shelter. That's a great question. That's a really good question.
I know that change your address, like, could bring my, oh, are we back? Okay.
You're freezing.
It cut out. It cut out just for a second. I can take my current ID and be like, yo, I'm changing my address. They're like, okay, what's your address? And I'll be like, bam, there it is. And then they'll just be like, okay, thanks. I don't have to bring any corroborating evidence. That's it.
But it's not your first ID. It doesn't do you. They already know who you are, right? There's no like identity advantage in changing your address.
Oh, yes, there is. I don't want there to be evidence necessarily of this, but if I potentially lived in a different city or whatever, my car insurance could be cheaper.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if I didn't live with my parents, or if I didn't live with somebody who had multiple accidents on their record and they weren't an authorized driver on my insurance, shit like that. You forget that my dad is Scottish, and so we've thought about stuff. But how to save $8 a month on insurance? No, it's more than that. Anyway, but that was just an interesting thought. I think it's bullshit. This fucking you have to prove who you are to vote is totally fair, especially when it's after this most recent election that we had. Let's institute that everywhere. Why not?
Yeah, and there are plenty of ways to help people if they're resource limited in a 700-day span. You can get somebody a ride, whatever. Like I said, how do you get your food? How do you get everything?
Democrats should do a thing where they're like, hey, you know how we used to drive you to the polls? Well, now instead of driving you to the polls, we're actually going to
Exactly.
drive you to go get your registration. Yeah.
That's exactly where
You're
my
like,
head went.
cool. Yeah.
They still drive people to the polls. Republicans are trying
No,
to
I'm
block that. I got no problem with that. Republican or
I think
Democrat.
that's a smart thing. Yeah.
If you want to get an empty Sprinter van, fill it full of 100 people, get them to the poll. More power to you.
100 people in a Sprinter.
It's just good organizational skills.
Yeah, right. I think that's just, you're just being smart. You're like, well, let's use our resources. What can we do? Pay a bunch of
Sure.
drivers and, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, they should stop belly aching and just help people get registered to
Do
vote.
it.
Or
Yeah,
help
yeah.
them get their IDs.
Yeah. But no, Chris, that would require thinking on their part. And we know this is politics. People who are in it don't have that skill.
So here's one for you. I was watching the Brett and Heather Weinstein podcast earlier today, and my dogs are going nuts. I might have to intervene.
That's okay.
God dang it. I have new neighbors and they have dogs, and when they sit out on their deck, they go crazy. It's not fair
Wait,
to
I
let
know your new neighbor behind you.
Yeah,
directly
Chad.
Behind you. Chad. Yeah.
So when they
Chad Michael Murray.
sit out and barbecue and my two dogs just bark incessantly at them, they really can't enjoy themselves. There's just these two yip machines.
Good. That's
In
good.
fact, I'm going to go retrieve them. Can you handle,
That's okay.
can you
yeah,
fly
I'll
solo?
I'll talk about racism in America.
Cool.
Yeah.
Don't get us kicked off the air.
Oh. Anyway, my whole point with bringing this up
Ricky.
to Chris was that the
I'll be
articles
back.
that I was reading, at least, Chris will be back, saying that this was a racist law. And I can't believe, especially after the election we just had, that you don't want to institute a higher, let's just call it security, election security, everywhere that you can, you know? And I'm not saying that the election was stolen, whatever. There was backlash, and people who assumed, or not assumed, people who felt that there wasn't equity in the proving the votes side of things. That causes a lot of problems in America, you know, as for us as a country as a whole. So it's divisive. Why don't we say, hey, you know what? You guys were right. This time what we're doing is we're instituting higher security to make sure that the election is going to be, it's going to be less fucked with. There's going to be less fuckery involved because people have to have photo IDs. And if they don't, we turn them away. I know in Michigan you can vote without an ID or a voter registration card. You just have to be registered to vote. And you show up and you say, hey, I don't have my voter registration card or an ID, and this is my address. You have to fucking let me vote. And they do. So that's obviously problematic. I personally have voted like that before, I think twice, just because I didn't know where my voter registration card was. So they do force you to fill out whatever you have to fill out, but you can still vote. I just think that that's a recipe for disaster, especially, like I said, after what we just had, which is like this, you know, Republicans saying, oh my God, the fucking election was stolen. Maybe it was. I'm not saying that's old news. I don't want to comment on that. But at least if we implement something like this, then there's more of a feeling of safety and fairness in the election process. I think that's what the Georgia, you know, that's what they're trying to do, the politicians over there, which is fine. I don't give a fuck. Oh, look who's back. Did you solve your problem? Oh, you can't hear me yet.
Keep talking.
Oh, keep talking. I like Chris's hair. He needs a haircut, though.
No, I don't. It's just right.
It's just right. I saw somebody at the shooting at the gun range yesterday who looks like you, but he had hair at least twice as long as that. So he had similar facial features and glasses, whatever, body build, and then he just had his hair was twice as long, and I was like, It's not a great look. So I'm going to remind Chris to get a haircut.
No, yeah, I want it to be the length that it was when I put that Facebook picture up. I like that length.
That was that long?
No, I haven't cut my hair in 7 months.
Jesus Christ. I got my haircut like
8
3 days
months.
ago. Wow. That's
No,
like
yeah,
you
it's
could've
down
had
to
a
my
baby.
nose in the front.
Jeez. Wow, that's long. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's down to here for me.
Well, I used to cut it myself with clip. I was cutting it myself
Oh,
with
shears?
clippers
Yeah.
and guards.
Yeah.
I'm afraid to
That's
do
easy.
it now because I'll look like a hack.
You mean your hair will be hacked?
Right. Right. So here, I started to say, or is there anything you want to pick up on that you started?
No, I basically just finished what we were talking about, saying it's bullshit and whatever. From the election, I can see why they want to do that. Yeah. The reaction to the election. Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody should be able to vote. There's a way to get people set up to vote, right? I love the 700 days thing, and that was off the top of my head.
That was good. I don't know that everybody
And it's
should be able to
true.
vote.
Right.
Shouldn't be universal suffrage. I disagree with that.
You can always write me in.
I have in the past. So you've gotten at least 2 votes sometimes, some years.
Yeah, I got like 6 one year.
What? Damn. Wow.
Yeah, Sherry and all her kids wrote me in.
That's great.
Yeah, it was funny. So what I started to say on the Weinstein show, the ACLU, Arkansas passed a bill where they said that you have to be 18 before any like gender altering surgeries can be performed or any kind of like hormone blockers or hormone therapy can be administered. And so this is like 3 weeks ago. So the ACLU on Twitter, the official ACLU Twitter response was transgender, just this flat out simple, and this isn't verbatim, but it's damn close. Transgender children denied health care by state of Arkansas. Denied health care. Like, if you break like if you cut your head open, you're not getting stitches. If you need an appendectomy, you're shit out of luck.
This is America. No one gets denied health care, first of all.
The ACLU
Like,
said that.
Yeah.
You know, you'd think they would have a little more dignity and a little more tact and be a little more, I guess, tactful in
Yeah, tactful, yeah.
in how you approach this. I mean, that's just so inarguably goofy. Denied health care. You break your leg. Sorry. Get the hell out of here. Are you trans?
Get the fuck out of here. Yeah, are you,
Get out.
you transgender and 17 years old? Get the fuck out of my hospital. Yeah.
Right.
See
Yeah.
this? It means not
Hey,
welcome.
wait a minute.
Yeah,
You're 17 years old, 364 days. Get the fuck out. Come back at midnight. So she
then we'll cut
tweeted,
your
and
dick off.
I swear,
Sorry.
I don't know if it's me, but I can't find, when I look at Twitter and I find a nice, good, so I found that ACLU headline, and then it's like this crazy pyramid, and it doesn't go like kind of vertically, it just goes out. And I couldn't find her response. I can't make sense of
I'm
Twitter.
sorry. Who?
Let's say anybody. The
Sure.
ACLU.
Charlie tweets something. Oh,
Jordan
ACLU tweets
Peterson,
something.
Charlie, I follow you. And let's say you have, you're highly followed. and
Yeah.
highly commented on. Charlie makes a tweet, and then there's like, the tweets and the responses and the responses to the responses, but it just goes, like I said, it's I don't know how to find the threads. Just they're all rabbit holes. Now, is it that way for everybody?
Yeah,
'Cause
so
I was
there's
trying-
one. Okay, so if I produce an original tweet, there's one. It's Charlie says this, right? And then that's the original thread for that tweet.
Right.
Now, if anybody wants to comment on that, it'll be there in the original thread. Now, people can comment on those comments and then comment on the comments, and so on and so forth, which is
Right.
a fucking rabbit hole. But the other thing that you might not be understanding is people can quote tweet and retweet you. So they can like take your tweet and just share it. That was loud. Share that, or they can take a picture. It's basically they take a picture of your tweet and then they write what they want to write above it. Like, wow, Charlie's a fucking idiot. And look at what he said, and they'll throw that up there with a picture of my thing, which creates a new original thread. It counts as a new tweet.
Oh. Okay, but
That's
still,
maybe the
so,
one thing. Yeah.
So I wanted
But
to
yeah,
see
it's-
her
it's-
response, and it was just so, so many comments. I couldn't find her response. I don't follow her. Maybe that's half my problem. But
Who was the person that you?
Heather
Just someone.
Weinstein.
Oh,
Heather.
Weinstein.
Her last name is Haying, but. And then I
if you
followed
follow
her.
People. Yeah.
Then I followed her, but I still
Sometimes-
couldn't really find it.
Sometimes the algorithms, they'll be like, "Hey, Heather, look at Heather Weinstein commented on this or replied to this tweet,"
Yeah, I'll get those. But even
But
those,
yeah.
there's a bazillion of them, and I only follow like I don't know,
there's
50 people or something.
they're trying to get you more involved, Chris. They're trying to make you more interactive in the Twitterverse.
Okay.
The
I've
algorithms
tweeted
are like,
like-
"How do we
I've
make
tw-
this guy do more shit?"
Twitter's, like I said, it's just bizarre.
I don't love it. Yeah.
It's just a one huge tangent.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
infinite. There's so many fucking people, especially if the ACLU is going to tweet something, there's going to be 50,000 comments on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And immediately, and like you said, it's a response and a response, a response, a response. So it gets so diluted, and then you get people commenting on a comment about a comment about a comment, and you're like, what the hell's going on? I don't know. I just.
Fuck you. No, fuck you. No, fuck you, fuck you. No, I
Right.
said fuck you first.
Right.
God damn it.
I don't know
That's
how
essentially
people
what
stay
Twitter
on
is.
Twitter without losing their mind. Seriously,
It's a fuck you machine. Yeah.
I'm exhausted after 5 or 10 minutes.
You're like, yeah, it's not fun. I don't ever go on it. I have it, but I literally, I don't even know if I have it. Let me check. I don't even know. Oh, I got it. Okay. Let's see. I tweeted actually recently. I tweeted about the, oh, my fucking car. I clicked on to make a new tweet, and a picture of my car showed up. Oh, it's so sad.
You didn't
Sorry.
quite get it on the camera. Put it right in front of your face. That's an ouch. That's a big ouch. Oh,
So sad.
man.
You know what's nice is about the sticker price of that car isn't very high anyway. So, whatever.
They may total it.
They might. I don't know. It's. I want to say the sticker price is $34K. I don't know. I have no idea. Maybe it's totaled.
Really? God, that's a lot of car for that money. That's a great deal.
It's the cheapest, shittiest Camaro they make with the biggest, strongest engine they make.
But yeah, no,
It's the lightest weight Camaro. Yeah.
I mean, performance-wise, that's like a 95th percentile car or whatever.
Oh,
That's
it's
ama-
fucking awesome. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And I just filled it up with a goddamn full tank of gas. I was literally not half a mile away from the gas station.
That's funny.
This is so mad. It's good that I'm laughing about it, but they'll be like, "We're not fucking fixing this."
Your
What am I
Swiss
gonna
Pat-
do? It'll.
You-
It'll break my heart.
Your Swiss passengers weren't harmed, were they?
No, they were fine. I don't know what that's from. Is that a reference to a movie?
You were carrying 2 Swiss passengers to my
Oh,
home.
no. Your Swiss passengers are fine. I was going to bring them to show them off, but I didn't want to infect myself with COVID. Yeah. Your passengers are right. And I made sure to snag those so that the tow man wasn't like, oh, look at these.
Were
Tow
you
guy's
face to face with the guy?
With who?
With the watchman?
Yeah, I
Charlie
was, yeah.
Charlie took 2 watches of mine in to have the bands, one fixed and one switched. And the guy got sick and closed the store, and I left him a nasty message.
He said he left you 5 nasty messages. You left him 4 or 5.
I left him
Was
1.
he lying?
He was
Oh,
lying.
so he's
I
lying.
left him 1. But it was pretty stern. It was like, you better get with me.
Hey, you fucker. You
It
better
basically
get
said, if you don't return my phone call, I will make this painful. I didn't say that, but it was pretty clear.
The guy, I'll be honest, the guy called me this morning, and I was like, oh, 248 number. Gotta be the watch guy. Like, I had no idea, like, I had no reason to believe or had any idea why he would be calling me, but I picked up, and he was like, literally couldn't have been more pleasant. I think you probably got to him. He said, I had 57 messages and 342 missed calls. And I'm like, you fucked with the wrong guy. And he was like, he's like, whatever.
Well, the way
Yeah, so
I ended it
I
was,
went to his store, yeah.
I said, I strongly suggest that you return my call, or this will not be good for you.
Damn. Jesus. Well, I have your watches now. They're
Cool.
mine. It's a cool.
He left me
Yeah,
a really
I
nice.
was
He
looking
left.
for-
Yeah, he left me a super pleasant
this
message.
morning?
Yeah, and I called him back and I said,
Oh.
thank you very much. And I said, I did have some concern that you might be ill, and I wish you nothing but the best. And I'm sorry for your circumstances, and I hope you heal well. And apologies. And I said I also said on the message, I said, should this be like a family tragedy or an illness, I understand, but you might want to reflect that in your message moving forward. Because
Yeah.
if he said, hey,
And
I have COVID and I'm closing the store so I can quarantine myself for 2 weeks, I apologize for the inconvenience, but it's for everybody's safety. That would be a much different message then. I ain't going to be here till 2 weeks from now. Then you're like, what the fuck's going on? Which is exactly how I reacted.
what the fuck? Yeah. Especially when he's hanging on to $5,000 worth of watches. I love that. Yeah.
Right.
He's like, you should have like a $20 bill. And I'm like, sure. And I wiped it on my butt first before I gave it to him. No, I'm just kidding. I didn't do that. Well, so he was like, the system was good. He put the watches in a bag, and then he put the bag on the ground, and then he stepped back, and I was like, cool. And I picked him up, took the watches out, and then I put the money in the bag. But before I could set it down, he like walked back up to me to take him out of my hand. And I'm like, what?
You just fucked
what
it
the
up.
fuck was the point? Yeah, I'm like, what was the point of it anyway? So whatever. And the guy was like, I think he was concerned when I was speaking with him. He was concerned about potentially losing your business or whatever. And I was like, I can guarantee you, Chris will continue to use your store in the future. I don't know. I was just saying that to calm him down because he was like frantic. So I was like, whatever. You don't have to ever go there again. Yeah.
No, the guy came in on a Sunday while he's sick. I mean, fuck. That'll learn my business. So should we
there you
shift
go.
gears?
Yeah, sorry, we're talking about us.
I'm going to talk about me now. I am going to get the COVID vaccine, the Johnson & Johnson, this coming
Oh, I
Friday.
heard it's 28% effective.
Right. Exactly.
I heard it's as effective as washing your hands twice, actually.
3 times.
Oh, sorry, I can't resist. I heard that. That was good. Wait, I just not read an article. My dad was listening to something, and the guy was explaining about the difference between absolute efficacy versus relative efficacy. And the numbers that are being reported, at least for Moderna and AstraZeneca, are the relative efficaciousness of the vaccine as opposed to the absolute efficaciousness. which is a difference between when 100 people get a placebo and 100 people get the vaccine. What are the differences between those two groups and how many people get COVID in both groups? And you compare those numbers. So if it's three
Right.
people in the placebo and one person in the vaccine, then it's
75%.
2% relative effectiveness, but it's 67% absolute efficacy.
Would be 75 for people.
No, because it's a difference, not sum.
You sure?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think the group's 4 and a quarter got sick.
The group is 200.
Oh, yeah, yeah. No.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Whatever.
whatever.
The point is, math, who cares? We don't have to go into the details of how we got these numbers. We'll just talk about them. Sorry, that's not the right way to approach this. As someone who may potentially have listeners, viewers, people listening to me, that's not the right way to approach this, so I apologize. I shouldn't just wave that off. But what this guy, and I'll have to get the details, but what this guy was getting down to is that the relative efficacy for these vaccines was more like 0.01% or 0.1% and 0.078%, whereas the absolute efficacy, which is the number of people in not the control group, but the actual vaccinated group, one person got sick of the 100, so it's 99% effective, so to speak, right? Whereas when you compare that with a placebo group, whereas 3 people got effective, then you compare those differences, and you have one person out of the 200 in a difference. I don't know. Maybe I'm incorrect. Or 4 people total out of the 200 to get a 2%. That's where the relative. And the FDA requires for you. Go ahead. And I'm not bashing it. This is just information that I'm getting. This is
No, it's
news.
right.
I'm not saying.
No, I get it.
Yeah.
And I've never. I'm just processing this, but it makes sense. There's 2 different ways to look at it, right?
Right.
How effective was it within the vaccinated group, and then
Right.
how did it compare relative to the placebo group?
Yeah.
But I mean, statisticians they're the ones who make this shit up. They're the ones who say you got to do a double-blind study with the placebo or with a placebo group. But anyway,
Yeah.
so here's a couple of very relevant things that pushed me over the edge to get the Moderna, which is
You mean
Pfizer
Johnson & Johnson?
or Johnson & Johnson. Pfizer and Moderna were tested in the United States. The numbers we see, they were tested in like May, June, July, August. So they were tested when the numbers were way down, and in the summertime when it doesn't transmit as much.
Yeah.
Johnson & Johnson was tested August, September, October, November into December, when it was
Cold.
totally peaking November, December.
Yeah.
And it was tested in the United States, Brazil, and South Africa. So it also, those numbers bake in being exposed to the variants. And then also 40% of their test group was Hispanic, and then a much higher level of people with comorbidities than the other ones. And I'm like, you know what? That's fine. That's fine. I'm just going to get one shot. You know, there's mitigating things that would pull those numbers up, and I'll be done. Because just there's enough people, as you've probably heard, that say the messenger RNA is, it's a science experiment still.
Yes, and that's not. And by the way, for folks at home, when I was joking about 28% effective and washing your hands twice, that's a joke. Obviously, the news, the word around town is that J&J is the best one to get, fewest side effects, yada yada.
Really?
Just take a one shot. That's the word around town. Yeah, it's the best one.
Huh.
So I think that's great. I'm not, and I bringing up that shit about the numbers. I don't want anyone to mistake me for an anti-vaxxer type fucking person. This is information that's being relayed to me.
No, it
that I
didn't
think
come
is
off. It
interesting.
did not come
Yeah.
off that way at all.
Okay, good.
Not at all.
I realized with the internet. Okay.
You know what's
Not
really,
an anti-vaxxer.
you know what's really, really interesting is you can. I got a buddy sent me a link. I can send it to you if you want. You can actually sort on who's administering which drug. So you can click on Johnson & Johnson, and then it'll bring up who's giving that. So you can actually sort locations by the drug. And interestingly, right now there are no appointments at all for Pfizer and Moderna anywhere around here. There's tons for Johnson & Johnson. Tons. Like, 30, 100, probably 50 within 10 miles of here.
It's because people don't want to go twice, right?
No, you cannot get the Moderna or the Pfizer. You can get Johnson &
Can't
Johnson.
get it at all.
No, everything's full up right now.
I see what you're saying. Okay.
But Johnson & Johnson has a ton of openings. But you know who I think did that? Did you see that Mayor Duggan, when he was taught, when he did State of the City, did the State of the City? He said, I'm not getting that cheap one dose thing for my citizens. We're only getting the quality 2-dose vaccine. And apparently that resonated nationally where people addressed it. So
what the fuck does that even? First of all, I don't know what that means. As a doctor, by the way, folks at home, I am a doctor. Kind of like Joe Biden's wife is a doctor. If you need help writing an essay, I'll help you out. But what does that have to do with anything? 1 shot, 2 shot? What if doctors made it and they're like, we can do it in 1 shot? They're like, oh, we'll do it in 2 because we think that it's easier. Or maybe the thing is
there's this,
I don't fucking get it.
There's the 67% effective or whatever it is. And it was 72% effective in the United States versus 94% effective. But again, that was in the summertime, and Johnson & Johnson was at like peak.
I feel like it's so politicized, it's impossible to get facts, like the death rate versus the infection rate. Like, I feel like most of the people who are going to die from this are dead, right? Now, that doesn't mean that, like you pointed out, I texted Chris today. I said, I met with your watch guy, joking around. I said, I hope I have COVID now because I could be done with it. And then he goes, you don't want that shit in your system. It's like, yeah, you don't actually, like, what the fuck? People have lasting effects from this. It's not necessarily just going to kill you, but my point is, because it's so politicized now, it seems like the news tries to scare you with the infection rate as opposed to the death rate, which is, they don't even talk about it now because it's so fucking low. But I find it hard to get any real data because everyone's like, well, this and this and this and well, that and that,
Yeah, I haven't been doing, this week's disingenuous news, but it's the same thing. Fire, right? Coronavirus, numbers are right. They're going to report, and the numbers are through the roof, but it's more younger people. And right, the death rate is way down between who's getting infected and better treatments in hospitals.
And you know what? I didn't even fucking know that, but I had to, before what I just said, I didn't even know that the death rate was that down. But you have to assume because they talk about the infections now. They don't talk about how many people are dying anymore.
Well, that's the way.
What the fuck? Yeah.
That's the way
I don't know.
Diseases work. And that's one of the ways they burn themselves out is the people that perish from disease are why they fizzle out. That's why the first one, SARS-1, was not a big deal because you got it and you were dead 3 days later. So if you're only walking around, if you get it and you just drop dead, you're not going to pass it on to anybody. So as infectious as it was, it didn't spread. Like its R0 number was, I don't know, but not high because you got it and you.
That was the thing with Ebola was you're like you got it and then 2 days later you were a human jelly sandwich. Yeah, which is a gross visual. Sorry, folks at home.
But it was crazy contagious.
SARS-1.
Ebola,
yeah. Well, that's what. So that one person who's like, I might have been exposed, and then turns out she wasn't, and they were like trying to quarantine her against her will, and it became like an ACLU thing. I remember that. And then
the woman who came home and went to Iowa or something.
Was on a plane, whatever the fuck. Was on a plane in Africa and came back, and they're like, you might have been exposed, and she's like, I wasn't, and they were like trying to hold her against her will, and she escaped the facility or something. Yeah,
I don't remember that.
It was ridiculous. Yeah, I want to say Georgia for some reason, but maybe I'm just wrong about that. Whatever.
I remember a woman, and I think she was a nurse, who got on a plane. She was infected, and it was a mistake or whatever. I'm thinking Iowa, whatever. Iowa. What did
know.
you say?
Yeah.
Georgia.
Georgia. Yeah.
What's
for
the
some
difference?
Reason. Yeah.
Football and corn.
Yeah. What's the difference? Song of the South, sweet potato pie, and I shut my mouth. Anyway. Is that Uncle Remus?
I don't
Anyway.
know.
Doesn't matter.
Oh man. So, go ahead.
Nothing. Never mind.
No, now I want to hear it.
I was gonna say I'm still gonna wait to get a vaccine because it hasn't been long enough for me that I haven't seen the potential. Like there's that one guy, the side effects where it fucking his skin fell off or whatever whatever happened
The
to
doctor?
the J&J guy.
Yeah. No,
I don't know if it was the doctor. It was that old guy.
He was J&J. I thought he was.
I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong again. I remember seeing pictures of him, and it's like, if that happened to more than one person, it would be fucking everywhere, right? But I haven't seen like that. There's a 2-week. It takes 2 weeks for it to become effective. I don't know. Why should I get it? The WHO put out that thing where they said, hey, if you're under 30 years old, don't get it because there's potential side effects and blood clots. And the coronavirus itself isn't as potentially dangerous as the vaccine could be. And then it's like, what's all this cross information to? I hate this being like having to make decisions. I want someone to tell me what to do. Socialism.
Yeah, right. There's a lot of competing information out there. I think.
And what the fuck do you believe? Like, I don't know. I don't fucking know. God, I'm annoyed.
I believe from my Weinstein source, you don't want this shit in your system. You do not want this shit in your
COVID,
system.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what also helped put me over the edge was I went to a guy who's started out as an infectious disease. He was a fellow at Beaumont Hospital in infectious disease. So,
Wait, he was an infectious disease?
Correct. Right. It was really weird. He was all bubbly looking with an infectious,
He looked like the Blob.
an infectious disease specialist who also became a wound care specialist. And those are two things that you need if you have a spinal cord injury, because you wind up getting infections and you wind up with wounds.
Yeah.
Because you get fucking bleach on your foot or whatever. So,
Yeah.
So I texted him and I said, hey, I got a chemical burn on my foot. I want to come in. So we were texting back and forth. And he was like, yeah, come in day after tomorrow, or whatever it was. And he said, have you gotten a vaccine? And I said, not yet. Do you have any reservations about mRNA technology? He quickly texted back, none. Then I went in. It wasn't 2 days. He saw me the next day. And we're wrapping up, and he goes, get a shot. Get a shot. And he's walking around his office with patients, and everybody's in masks, and he's not. So he's like totally
Oh, he doesn't give a fuck? Yeah.
No, he's like, I'm vaccinated.
So he's gotten his thing. Yeah, he's like, whatever.
Yeah.
Well, that's the other fucking thing is and then here's again. Wow, you can. I apologize if my visible anger is resonating, but to use a word that you just used within the last 60 seconds. But what is it with politicians? We get wear masks. I'm like, then what is the fucking point? Like, if you get vaccinated, there's this doctor, infectious disease specialist. First of all, don't even bother people about the wound thing, right? Like, this guy knows his infectious disease. He got vaccinated. He's in a hospital. Doesn't even wear a mask. And you're still telling me that we have to live in this fucking lockdown world where you can't go to dinner, and I don't know. I guess you can do that now, but what is it with the politicians saying you still gotta, social distance, and we can't? I feel like it's a control thing. I don't know.
No.
Is that my conspiracy?
No, it's a train. It's a train the mass herd. Because the more people go around without masks, the more people will want to go around without masks. So that's you. So if you want to not wear a mask and you want to not get an infection, you're that person, whether it's you or not, is the problem. So wear a mask or and you can't tell the two apart right now. So they want everybody to wear masks until this goes away. And I get that. Because right now, Michigan has as many infectious, as many infected people right now as ever. Because everybody's fucking, one, restaurants and bars are open, and two, people are just COVID fatigue, and they're just going around without masks, and everybody's getting sick. And now young people are getting sick.
Youngsters. Well, schools are open too. Well,
yeah, but I mean, I think it's under 30 or under 40. The numbers are higher than they've ever been. And I don't know if it's stronger variants or just people saying fuck it and eating dinner without masks, or I don't know. But, masks work. They said if both parties are wearing masks, it reduces the likelihood of getting infected by 70%.
What if both parties wear 2 masks?
71%.
What if both parties wear 16 masks?
71.5%. Diminishing returns.
Oh, worth it. Sorry, that was the one that. Did you remember when the whole 2-3 mask thing came out?
Yeah.
That was funny. They're like, "What if you wear 8 masks? 5, it's 7." Yeah, whatever.
Right.
It's hard, and I can understand. I know how you feel about it, so I'm not trying to be like I'm not. Part of me is playing devil's advocate. What is the is this not just another flu that we have to live with now?
Well, 500,000 people have died in the United States. I mean, normally like 40,000 people a year die from the flu. So it's more than 10 times more.
I thought it was 90,000, but still, that's.
I thought it was 40. Yeah, I mean.
I could be wrong, but yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know how many million in the world. It's not the flu. It's not the flu. And there's these long haulers, right? There's people with myocarditis. What's brain inflammation?
Meningitis?
No, that's an actual disease.
You die fast with that.
Yeah. Damn. Encephalitis. Yeah, you don't want this shit in you. It's fucking people up. And for what it's worth, also they're saying long haulers that are getting the vaccine are seeing positive benefits. So, I don't know.
Damn, really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. If I were you,
see, I don't fucking know.
I'd get the fucking thing and be done. Get the the mRNA is potentially scary technology. Just get the Johnson & Johnson, be done. One shot, done.
So if I get the J&J, and then maybe I'll just sign up for it. And I have thalassemia. Did I tell you about this? Because I have thalassemia, I'm front of the line. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like, I feel like you, same thing. They'd be like, whatever, yeah, oh, wheelchair, boom.
Well, there is a box to check now that neurological disorder, which technically I have. My spinal cord
brainstem
damage.
Yeah, spinal cord. Sorry, not brainstem. Yeah.
Brain tissue.
So my thing, blood disorder. Yes. So, what was I saying? If I get it, what is the onus on me to then wear a mask in public?
Well,
none. No, it's not none.
It's not none. So if I start going out after I get this, I'll wait at least 4 weeks. So we don't know. You still don't know. You can still get it, right? If I go out, I'm just going to, it's summertime. I'm still going to get my groceries delivered, and I'll go out on the weekend and get a drink outside. That's all I'm going to do. I'm still going to. I mean, I didn't do anything last year. This year, I'll go out on when the sun is out. I'll go out and get a drink on the weekends. It'll get me out of the house, you know.
Yeah.
But I'm still going to, you know, and I'll wear a mask because I just think just to be socially responsible, to get the people who aren't vaccinated to either get tired of wearing a mask and get a vaccine or wear your fucking mask. Because, I mean, just think about it this way. Here's what went through my mind when you said, you know, I kind of hope I got it. And I know you were joking, but there's a little truth to every joke, right? That's why you think of the joke.
But the truth was that it would be over and done with. I would have the antibodies then, and then whatever. I would have 2 weeks
But the
of
thing
quarantine
is, if you got it, you could come home, and there's a chance you could give it to, say, your dad, and maybe he would get it and not even know it and be asymptomatic. He goes up and visits Ralph. Ralph gets it, and he's in fucking ICU.
Yeah.
How's that make you feel?
Yeah. Bad.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, that was what was going through my brain too. Yeah. Yeah.
and that's
That wasn't oblivious to that. Yeah.
that's where my head goes. You know, either wear a mask or get a vaccine. And until the fucking morons and whatever, why are so many people sick? Because people just won't wear a mask anymore. Well, I tell you, man, you don't want this fucking disease in you. They do not know.
I'm telling you, up north, yeah, I was up north. Nobody fucking wears them. They don't care. But down here, it's not the same thing. Like, grocery store, gas station, 7-Eleven, whatever. I feel like literally everyone. For the first time ever today, not ever. For the first time in a long time, I saw a guy in a gas station 10 minutes before I crashed my car without a mask on. And he coughed at me, and I got some of the virus, and it distracted me while I was driving. And I was like, wow, you don't see that. And you don't see that. At least in Farmington Hills, people wear a fucking mask. And now up in Charlevoix or East Jordan, no one gives a shit. It's 50-50. So, yeah, you do have that. I just don't see that around here.
So the guy who didn't have a mask, was he pumping gas or did he go in the building?
He was in the store buying cigarettes, which there's evidence that says that if you're a nicotine user, you're less susceptible to whatever. But yeah,
that is totally debunked. Smokers, that's a comorbidity. Oh. Smoking is totally a comorbidity. That was an early on thing. Yeah, and maybe nicotine gum.
Mine
I don't
news
know.
Is late.
But yeah.
Oh yeah.
What was I going to say? Well, yeah, if you smoke cigarettes, to me, right there is an indicator that you are somebody who's probably
careless,
makes a whole bunch of bad decisions.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're probably not worried about your
mask. Yeah.
Yeah. If you smoke cigarettes, you're probably not worried about how much high fructose corn syrup you take in, or how much cholesterol you take in, or what have you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway.
Cholesterol. There's good cholesterol. Yeah. Yeah. That's that guy. Yeah.
Right.
Anyway.
Hey, we're up at it.
Yeah.
It's been over an hour.
Yeah, we're about an hour. Yeah, over an hour.
Should we call
over
it?
And out.
Over and out?
Yeah, sure.
All right, you got the 8-ball question.
Over an hour. Should Charlie get a Johnson & Johnson vaccine? And should I get a
Don't let me
Johnson
encourage you.
vaccine?
Make your own decision.
It is decidedly so. I didn't let you make a decision for me. The 8-ball just said it is decidedly so.
All right.
That I should do it. Fuck. All right, I'll make an appointment.
Walgreens.
Get it righted.
I'll send you the link.
Oh, Walgreens.
Walgreens is the place
All right,
with the
shoot it up.
openings. Cool.
And then I'll go get shot up.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's play some blues.
That's
That's not a blues song.
Wait, can you give me autism? Wait, I already have that. Never mind.
I don't know. Say goodbye to Charlie. Well, you can wave. Sorry.
I'm gone.
I missed your wave. Bye, everybody. Bye, everybody. Ba-bam. Bam.
Bow, 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 bow.
And